Namaste yogis, welcome to your practice. My name is Steven from YogaWorks, and in this class today what I would like to do together is something called low and slow. We'll be working a bit, but we'll stay super low, so don't expect lots of standing poses. There's no inversions, there's no arm balances. We'll keep it grounded and as low to the ground as possible, but that doesn't mean that we have to be completely passive either. It's not a yin class. We'll be working through some strong but really low and steady poses that provide some good grounding, a nice calming effect for your body and mind. And let's see how we go. Let's get into child's pose to start with. You can reach your arms forward or back, whatever feels best right now. And just make sure your forehead rests on something, the mat, or you got a block, or you can stack your fists on top of each other, that's also fine. But just make sure your forehead touches something solid. And just take a few breaths to start your practice. And just feel the proximity of the ground, this solid surface underneath you that easily holds your weight. Whatever you've been through today before coming to your mat, you can allow that to sit in the past. It doesn't have to play a role right now anymore. You came here to slow down, to simplify your life, at least for half an hour or so. New complications will arise, but at least your yoga practice doesn't have to add to your stress levels. With every exhale, just feel nice grounding, a softening down. Maybe the shoulders can release some more tension and relax down towards the knees. Maybe the belly can relax down towards the thighs. The head on the mat, the hips down to the heels. Good, and then slowly come up and staying as low as possible. We'll just step the right foot forward, come onto the fingertips, tuck your back toes under, and then a couple of times just lift and lower that back knee. We're just starting off really gently to get a bit of movement into mainly the front of that left hip. And as you do this, keep it slow and simple, and see if you can keep your mind with what's going on right now. Just the knee up and down. You can link your breath to that simple movement. And just take a moment to unwind. You're moving, but in a very calming and grounded way. Good. And then release that, just briefly return to child's pose, just to remind ourselves this is the kind of grounding, the slowing down, the introspection that we're looking for today. And then step left foot forward, same thing, second side. Tuck the right toes under. I prefer to come on fingertips for this one, and you can just lift and lower a couple of times. Think of it as just noodling around, giving your body a bit of movement medicine straight from the start. As always, there's no correct way to do this, but I would suggest to not rush too much. You're not trying to quickly do a number of reps, but you're trying to slow down. So imagine this whole class, it's like you're moving through honey. And then step back, child's pose, just briefly. You can move around or you can just be still, whatever feels good. And then right foot forward. Left knee down. And then a couple of times we'll move backwards and forwards this time. So instead of up and down, move the hips back into half Hanuman, the half splits, and forward. You might need to adjust the distance between that front foot and the back knee, just so it makes sense in your body. And every time you move back, lengthen the spine, in the opposite direction, so you're pulling right hip back and then the heart goes forward. And find a nice slow rhythm linked to the breath without any rush. Nice. Step back. Child's pose. Later we're going to do down dog instead of child's pose, or you can also just stay with the child's pose. Why not? And then left forward. You probably need to increase the distance a bit, just so when you move back, that right hip is more or less above your right knee, and then move forward again. Might take a few rounds to find a good distance for you. And then keep the spine a little bit long even as you go back and you get into that hamstring stretch. As you come forward, you might also feel front of right hip. All of these are really good, especially if you've been a little bit static, if you've sat in one pose for a long time before coming here. Then it's good to do some dynamic movements, but at the same time your mind might feel really busy, so we're trying to take the complexity out of it in this simple practice. Good. Step back. Let's do child's pose one last time. We might do more of it actually, but just right here in the warm-up phase. Nice, and then come into downward facing dog. Stretch your arms forward, spread your fingers wide and push every finger pads down on the mat, including the thumbs. Again, feel that grounding under your hands. The ground is supporting you as always, every second of your life. And then do the same with the feet. You're pushing down with a bit more intention. So press down to those 4 points, your hands, your feet. And feel the ground pushing back, as it were, supporting you. Reach your arms over the head and lengthen the arms a little bit longer if you can. And then slide the hips up and back and press your thigh bones to the back of the mat. If it feels better, you can put a little bend in the knees, especially if your spine feels a bit more spacious when you do that. It's a good idea. Good, and we're going to walk forward into a squat at the front of the mat. You can place hands to the heart or hands in front of you, whatever works. Take a few moments. This is another nice grounded pose. Malasana, the hips are nice and low, your feet are grounded, and the entire pose is quite close to the ground, as you can feel. Get a little lift in the chest. And do your best to lengthen the spine so we don't collapse and round forward too much. Good, then step your right foot back. Keep the left foot where it is so that we can place both hands inside the left foot. You can place the back knee down, lengthen the spine forward. I always like to do this before I think of lowering down in the lizard, just to remind myself to keep the spine long, the breath open. And then this might be just where you start. This is fine, especially if your hips are protesting a bit with the movement. If you've been stationary for a while, that's quite possible. And then it's also possible to bend the elbows a bit so your chest starts to lower a little bit inside that left knee. Or maybe, if it's appropriate for you, you can lower the elbows down. Nice. Keep lengthening forward, especially the gaze. Sometimes I see a lot of people looking back towards the back knee. That's sort of naturally the pose your body wants to adopt. But see what happens when you look a little bit in front of your mat, perhaps, or your hands. If that doesn't give you a little bit more length in the spine, space to breathe, but also a bigger stretch in that outer left hip, which is externally rotating in this pose. And then second part of the pose, if you like, you can walk the hands to the top right corner, so away from that front foot. And then especially the left hand, reach extra far and press that left hand down. I really love this pose because it just feels so good for the hips, the spine, you're getting the shoulder, and just a nice combination of a chain of events. Another breath or so here. Press that left hand down as you reach to the left arm, and then slowly return. You can go child's pose now, or you can go downward facing dog. Take a breath or two here. Lift the hips up and back. Relax the head and the neck down. You might need to shake your head yes and no. Good. And then walk the feet forward. You can hop forward as well, but I promise to keep it low and slow. So maybe hopping is not really the vibe that we're going for. But if that's what feels good for you, then I'm not going to stop you, of course. Good. We're in Malasana. Chest forward and up. Shoulders back. Hips down. And then keep this. We're going to step the left foot back into lizard pose. You can wiggle that right foot a little bit wider. I like to turn the right toes a little bit off the mat even, and then lengthen the spine. You can stay here on the hands with straight arms or whatever is needed, that's fine. Or if it feels good, you can go a little bit lower, maybe elbows down for a bit of extra support. Sometimes elbows don't come down, you can put a block under them. Or maybe the left elbow comes down. It's usually the outer one is easier, and then the inner one may not be as easy to lower. That's fine. Rather than worrying about the pose and if you're doing it right and what somebody else is doing, start to ground down. Just feel the simple place, the ground, your breath, your body in the shape. And then, like we did before, instead of looking back towards the belly button, look a little bit forward to remind ourselves to keep that length in the spine. Nice. Part 2, same pose, but walking the hands off to the top left corner, especially that right hand, reach it extra far. Press it down on the floor and turn the chest down towards the mat. The legs haven't changed, but the stretch in that hip might have changed a little bit due to the different angle, and hopefully you get some side body length on the right as well, and the arm, the side ribs, the waist. One more breath here. Good. Step it back, downward facing dog or child's pose, whatever you need most. Right now you're free to choose. And then inhale into plank pose. Slowly lower down onto your belly. Nice grounded pose, locust. You remember, we never go very high. It's kind of impossible in this pose, isn't it? So lift the head, lift the chest, lift the arms and legs, and just enjoy being super close, but you're getting a good all-round back strengthener here. Backs of the legs and spinal muscles. One more breath in locust. And then release, press back, downward facing dog. As we're going to walk forward to our squat again. Hips go down as the chest lifts up. Take a moment, settle. I find I can't just settle once and then hope this is going to stay. I'm going to stay focused for the whole rest of the day or the class. No, I have to settle and focus many times, because the mind tends to drift off even more times. Good. The right foot back. Right knee down to the mat. Walk that left foot a little bit wider. Maybe turn the toes off the mat if that feels good in your body. And we're going to keep right hand down. Reach the left arm back. This is an easy twist. It's a nice one to stay, but my favorite is to hold the outer edge of that back foot for a quad stretch. My right quad feels a little bit sort of angry today, so I'm not going too deep in the pose. If you are able to go deeper, then by all means you can do that. But definitely take care of your injuries if there are any. And then gently release that back foot. If you're holding it, let's go plank pose. And then down to the mat. Keep your hands under the shoulders, or a little bit further back, and then roll the shoulders back to a tiny, tiny cobra. Like one of those super enjoyable cobras, not like a stressful cobra. Cobra, you could, if you had to spend another minute here, you'd be like, okay, that's fine, I've got this. Just feel a little bit of engagement in the back of the shoulders, a bit of gluing down on the legs, but nothing too crazy. Good. And then lower back down. Press back, downward facing dog. Nice. Let's walk the feet forward back to Malasana, the squat. And this is our little reset reminder to stay low and slow. Often in our lives it's high and fast, which is kind of the opposite, the antidote we're tuning into now. And then let's step left foot back, lower the left knee down, keep the left hand where it is. You can walk that right foot a bit off and then reach the right arm back. Maybe this is enough, or this is really enjoyable in your body, you're happy to be here, that's a good place to be. Or you hold the outside of that back foot. You can also hold the inside. It's good to change things around sometimes. And then just soften down any amount. You can pull in with that back foot, but I prefer to kick it into the backhand a bit. It just feels a bit more solid and stable. And then a couple of breaths, unrushed, just to enjoy little moments. Take a little moment to unwind on your mat. Good. Gently release. Let's go just to downward facing dog. Just stretch it out, the hips up and back, the feet and hands down, the breath moving through the shape. Good. Step forward, squat one more time. Just find your pose. You can even close your eyes. Just gain that inner focus, that inner peaceful state that we're always trying to cultivate in our yoga practice. I'm not saying we're always super successful every moment, every day, but it's good to have a goal, to set an intention. Again, let's step right foot back. Move left foot to the other side of the mat for pigeon pose. We'll do a couple of versions of pigeon. The first one, that'll be a little bit more active, so you're pressing down through the hands, lifting the chest, and moving the shoulders back. Another breath or so here. Good. And then lower right elbow down. You can hold your left knee with that right hand. You can't see, but left hand, I'm putting it outside the left knee. Keep the chest a bit high, and then turn to your left. You can roll that left shoulder a bit back. Notice we're not super low here, so keep a bit of space between the torso and that left thigh, so that you've got space to twist here. At the same time, still lengthen that left hip back and allow it to soften down until it stops. Good. And release back to the middle. Pigeon pose variation, I think it's the third one we're doing, isn't it? Left hand reaching like we've done before in that lizard pose. Turn the chest down to the mat and push with that left hand. I'm still trying to lengthen that left hip back so I'm not collapsing and getting out of the hip stretch here. That sometimes happens when you do that side bend. Good. Slowly release and come to the center. You can stack your hands on top of each other or rest the forehead down for a nice peaceful little moment in our favorite version of pigeon. Isn't this your favorite version? This is actually what I just want to do the whole day. To rest in pigeon pose. Every 10 minutes you swap sides or something. Good. Let's swap sides. As we said, maybe go to down dog. It feels nice to pedal the legs out and just get a little bit of movement in between. And then right knee forward, left leg back. Come onto fingertips just to start the pose, broaden the chest, regulate your breath. One more inhale here. And then how about left elbow down, right hand outside right knee. Chest nice and high, and then turn to the right. At the same time, I'm pulling the right hip back behind with that back foot so that you get a nice spinal twist while that outer hip is lengthening here. Another breath or so here. And then we're going for the side bend, so go to the center first, and with your right hand reach to the top left corner of your mat and beyond, and then press the right hand down, turn the chest down. If it's if you got space, you can lower the forehead, soften down. So we're softening, but we're not completely passive. Keep a little push to the right hand, keep lengthening the right hip a bit back. Really nice. And then we get to center, stack the other hand on top of the other hand, and rest down. Such a peaceful pose. Low and slow. This is what we could do it a little bit more often. That's a good reminder in this class. Another breath or so here. Nice. Gently release. We're going to bring the knees down like we're doing tabletop, but just walk the hands a big step forward for our puppy pose. Start to soften the forehead down while you keep the hands and the arms a bit active. So I'm still lifting my forearms off the mat. The arms and the shoulders are similar to down dog, but probably you'll feel a bit less strength work and more stretch compared to normal down dog. And then see if you can soften. You can slow down and get a little bit lower. You're not efforting to get lower, you're actually removing the effort so that your body feels safe to let go. Feel this sort of hammock of your arms and your upper body hanging from the hips and the floor. One more breath here in the middle. Nice. And then lift up just enough to thread your left arm under the right armpit. You can turn your head to the right. Place the left ear on the mat on the left side of the head. Take a moment. This is a nice twist for the upper back and mid back. Take a few breaths and see if you can fill up all the corners of your lung capacity. And then other side, the left hand goes forward and the right arm threads under. Try to keep the hips more or less level so they're not too much off to one side. This time the right side of the head is down. And I'm still giving a little push with that left hand on the mat. Let the breath do the work on the inside. As always, the pose is just the outer housing, you could say, in which the real work is happening on the inside. Good. And then slowly start to come out. I'm gonna open the legs wide for Upavishta Konasana. You can turn sideways, or whoever is easiest. on your mat. And then with the legs wide, dig the heels a little bit down and press the backs of the legs down into the mat. I like to start here with the fingers behind and the chest up. And often, depending on your range, this might be enough actually. A lot of people could do just by staying here, which was me for many years, just in this pose. This was quite an intense stretch already without me folding forward. It actually wasn't really possible, if I'm honest. So try to avoid leaning back too much or rounding your back too much, especially when I give the option of folding forward. Just see that you're not just flexing your spine and not actually hinging more from the hips, which is what we're really after. Nice. You can stay here. Maybe now the hands can come in front of you. If you collapsed or you lost the shape, rather have the hands behind and work on lengthening the spine. If there's a bit more space and it feels good, you can walk the hands to the front until you feel something interesting to work with. If it's too much, back off a bit. If it's just right, stay there. Take a few breaths to ground down. Good. Slowly walk the hands back up. Nice. I'll give two options. You can bend your right foot in to the middle, or you can hold it and pull it back behind you. This is quite a nice option for the next side bend we're going to do. So if your foot is inside, you just lower the right elbow, reach left arm over the head. But if your foot is behind, what's quite nice is to lift up, hold that ankle under that leg here, so the left hand goes under to the right ankle. And then with the right arm, you can reach overhead, maybe hold that ankle or just dangle the arm in the air, that's fine. And since you're holding 2 points, you can sort of corkscrew your body into this a little bit more. You might feel you get a little bit more deeper than normal. Take another breath, relax the neck, let the head soften, the face relax. And then slowly come back up. Other side, you can just bring that left foot into the center. Or if you like that other variation, just pull the foot back behind that hip here. And then both options, the right elbow goes down, left arm overhead, or the left hand slides under, or the right hand slides under. I realize I'm mirroring you. And then left arm could reach over the head into a side bend. Just notice what you feel. I feel that left hamstring is a bit more space in my case, but the right side body is a bit more restricted. It's interesting to notice these little differences. And then a couple of breaths to no longer analyze or think or compare or wish or doubt. Just let the mind take a little back seat as you soften into the pose. And then slowly release, come back up. Nice, we're going to end really simply. Consider this your Shavasana. Right shin in front of left. Flex the feet, so you're pulling the toes up towards the shins. Lengthen the spine. And then if you still have space, walk a little bit forward. Maybe place the elbows down or support your chin in the hands if that feels good. You can also stack your fists or have a block under the forehead. It can feel really nice to rest the head onto something. Often our head is a bit overworked in it, especially our busy brain. Sometimes you might even feel there's like this tension around in your head space, like a contraction in the brain. You cannot stop thinking and worrying and planning. And hopefully with these slow grounded poses you're able to soften some of that tension. just realize that everything is okay. Good. Swap sides, left shin in front of right, or whichever side you haven't done yet. Flex the feet, long spine, you can stay more upright. You can fold forward, elbows, chin support, or forehead support. These are all possible options. Just find one that feels good in your body, that you can soften down in. Just enjoy this quiet end to a nice, low and slow practice with it together. Another breath or so here. Good. And then slowly lift back up. This is a nice time to continue with your practice. Maybe you sit a little bit in seated meditation. Maybe you lie down for Shavasana. Maybe this was just a warm-up and you're going into something else. I'll leave it up to you. In any case, thanks for joining me today. Namaste, everybody, and have a good one.